What is the best Christmas movie ever made, and why is it National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation? I can't be the only one who thinks it's the best Christmas movie. I want to do a scroll saw project of the Santa at the intro of that video. I love that dude. Now, when I was looking up pictures, trying to find just the right scene, I did come across the scroll saw scribbler made a project of the Santa. It's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. Such a tremendous artist. If you haven't seen his work, go check it out. I'm not gonna do that scene. Instead, I'm gonna do this one. That look of Santa just staring down the chimney going, what am I getting myself into? I've had that feeling before with scroll saw projects. Every artwork needs a good foundation. So for mine, I took some Wingate veneer and I glued that onto a piece of 1/2 inch thick MDF. This will give me a stable work surface, and the Wingate is really dark, so that's gonna help out with the negative space and all the shadows in my picture. I'm gluing together a really thin panel out of some poplar. This is ugly stuff. It doesn't need to look pretty because none of it's actually gonna be used in the artwork. This is my sacrificial lamb for the project. So once this is all dry, I'm gonna sand it flat. Then I'm gonna take my artwork and I'm gonna glue it onto this panel. And it really is just gonna be a template. As I cut out a piece of this, I can take the actual wood that I want and glue that into my artwork and just move on, and all my pieces will be lined up where they're supposed to be at. My template fits into the picture frame perfectly. Now here's the plan. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna cut out a brick. Then I've got a whole bunch of reds. These are, I think mainly bloodwood, maybe some bubinga, I don't know, they're red. I'm gonna cut out the same brick out of the red pieces. Then I can put my template back into place, take the red piece I just cut out and glue it into that spot. And I'm gonna go brick by brick by brick by brick. As far as the mortar goes, no idea. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that one. So I'm just gonna procrastinate. I'm not used to having pieces this big with projects. Usually I have these little pieces and I can't clamp them down, so I gotta use something heavy and just weigh it down. But I can't do it with this. So I actually had to break out the clamps. Feels like overkill, but gotta do what I gotta do. So far, I've been working mainly in the foreground, but Santa is in the background. To give that illusion of depth, I plan on having my pieces get smaller, but also progressively thinner. So what I'm gonna do is take some of my scraps, I'm gonna stick them onto MDF with some double-sided tape. I'm gonna run them through my drum sander to make them a little bit thinner. I'll probably do a couple different batches of various thicknesses because I don't really know how thick I want these pieces. I'm gonna sand the entire project when I'm all done, but if I can sand some now, then it saves me a little bit of time later on. Looking at the artwork, I'm seeing that the bricks are lighter colored and they get darker and darker as you're looking up the chimney. Well, I want the same effect. I've been using a lot of bloodwood, but how do I get those darker colors? I'm thinking bubinga has a nice darker transition between the bloodwood, so that could work out really well. I also have some rosewood that was burnt in a fire, so maybe I can try this out. Sometimes you just don't know what something's gonna look like until you do it. And in hindsight, looking at some of these bricks, they're not doing it for me. It's the rosewood. The bubinga looks pretty good. The rosewood, it really depends on the area of the board that I cut out. Some of the areas look perfect. Some of the other areas, though, seem to have a little bit of very light brown streaks in it, and that throws off the entire illusion. So that means that some of these are gonna have to go. Can't decide what material to use for the grout between the bricks. Part of me says that it should stand out, so I've got some maple here. But another part of me says that's way too light, it's gonna have too much contrast. If you look at the picture, you see that it's more like a grayish color, and that's because it's in a chimney and there's like soot and all kinds of stuff. I got a piece of walnut that looks pretty good. It's gray, a little tint of brown, but not too much. I just don't know how it's gonna look until I actually make it. I made it so the mortar is slightly thinner than the bricks. I'm liking how this looks. Now these pieces are a little bit flimsy, so to make sure that I get them exactly where I want, I took some random offcuts, cut points to them, and they're gonna be my wedges. So I can glue my piece in place, take those little pieces and wedge it to lock it all down till the glue dries. The mortar took way longer than I ever expected, but finally got through it. Now it's time to work on the sky behind Santa. Well, for that, I'm thinking blue mahoe. I want that sky to be dark, but the blue mahoe has a little bit of that dark blue. I think that would be a cool touch behind them. First thing though is I need to drill a whole bunch of holes in this. And that's because I'm gonna cut some holly and I'm gonna stick holly in those holes. That's gonna be the stars in the sky. It's time to make Santa. I'm thinking I'll probably need 4 or 5 different colors. Definitely holly for all the white, the beard. Need a skin tone, maybe maple for that. His outfit's red and white, so I gotta make sure I have that. And then whatever his mitts are. His mittens are blue. I'm not doing blue. Maybe green? How about green? Green works. I want some of my pieces to look like they're layered on top of each other. And well, to do that, I'm gonna take a little sanding stick and I'm gonna sand and contour certain areas. Then whenever I glue it together, it should give that illusion. Well, look at that, we finished it. Well, it's not entirely finished. Now comes some of the more tedious stuff, which is like sanding. I mean, not tedious to you because you don't have to do it. For me though, yes. To do this, I'm gonna take random pieces of small sandpaper, sanding sticks, and you know what? I use a lot of chisels whenever I'm doing this. And just gonna clean it all up, get all the glue off, make sure I round off the edges, whatever profile I need to do, now's the time to do it because after I do that, it's time for finish. I really enjoyed making this one. I like these holiday themed projects. This becomes part of our Christmas decorations that we can put up in the house. There's a lot of dark colors in this because it is a chimney, so I like that Santa is pretty bright. With all the white and the maple, it pops. Thank you to everyone over on Patreon for helping to support me, help support this channel. You guys rock. And tune me again, get in your shop and build something awesome.